That loop is what tells markets what works and what doesn't. When it's distorted, inefficiency is rewarded, and the people who play by the rules are punished. The result? Wasted money, fewer opportunities, and growing cynicism about both business and government. Hello, welcome to this week's Economy. I'm your host, Dr. Vance Ginn. Thank you for joining me again today. Always a pleasure to have you with me. Please share this podcast with your friends and family. And don't forget to miss the Let People Prosper show that comes out every Thursday. This week's Economy, comes out every Monday. That one comes out every Thursday. You don't want to miss those episodes either. I hope it's all in the same channel, so maybe you're already listening to all of them already. That's great. Remember, you can find all this at Apple Podcasts. You can find it at Spotify, vanceginn.substack.com, vanceginn.com, a lot of different places to find it. And be sure to follow me on X at Vance Ginn. That's where I'm posting information every day, almost up to the minute, when new data and information is coming out that you need to know from a classical liberal free market perspective. There's fewer and fewer of those these days, unfortunately, but I think we can revitalize it quickly by getting us heading in the right direction. So I've got a lot for you today, so let's go ahead and jump right into it, all right? So look, it goes by many names: cronyism, corporatism, political favoritism, corporate welfare, and more. No matter what you call it, it's the same idea. Government picking winners and losers in our economy. Some companies get special treatments through subsidies, tax breaks, loopholes, government contracts, low interest rate loans, or in-kind support. In short, whenever the government promises a company a shortcut or special favor, that's corporate welfare in action, folks. It undermines competition, punishes smaller competitors, and costs taxpayers in the process. It happens at every level of government, local, state, and federal. And it's always the public who pays the price every single time. So today, into this week's Economy, we're going to unpack the real cost of corporate welfare and why and who truly benefits and who gets left behind. So, lesson number one, what is corporate welfare? Well, true capitalism is built on voluntary exchange, competition, innovation, and personal responsibility. It's a system that rewards value creation and fuels long-term progress. Corporate welfare, by contrast, borrows the language of markets to disguise government favoritism. It's what happens when politicians decide which firms get subsidies, tax payments, or special tax breaks, and which ones don't. Economist David Henderson, he recently explained that the difference between free markets and the crony capitalism, he does this well. Quote, in free markets, buyers and sellers are free to agree on a price. No government agency restricts who can buy or sell, and no one is told how or what to produce. In contrast, under cronyism, the government rigs the market for the benefits of government officials, cronies. Okay, that's the end quote. So granting government monopolies to one firm or limiting how many can compete, that just causes problems. Tariffs or quotas they impose to quote unquote protect domestic producers from imports do the opposite. Subsidies and bailouts that allow uncompetitive firms to survive while allowing others to pay the price, that also is bad. So why does all this matter? Well, in a free market, companies that serve customers well earn the ability to grow. Those that fail free up resources for others to use more productively. But when government steps in to bail out failure or prop up politically favored industries, it breaks that cycle. It's clear as that. History shows that every time governments try to manage capitalism, they end up managing decline. The Econ 101 lesson is timeless. Government spending doesn't create new wealth. It simply redistributes it from some to others. Lesson number two, how corporate welfare hurts. When government and big business collude, handing out business subsidies, tax breaks, or regulatory favors to the well-connected, it breaks an essential feedback loop on profits and losses. That loop is what tells markets what works and what doesn't. When it's distorted, inefficiency is rewarded, and the people who play by the rules are punished. The result, wasted money, fewer opportunities, and growing cynicism about both business and government. Once they start picking winners and losers, the special interests swarm the capital. Lobbyists push for regulations, subsidies, and contracts that tilt the playing field even further into their favor. What emerges isn't free markets. Its success depends on political access instead of innovation. That's not capitalism. As Thomas Sowell put it plainly, quote, "The first lesson of economics is scarcity. The first lesson in politics is to disregard the first lesson in economics." What are some real-world examples? Well, politicians are now trying to, quote-unquote, save the declining of manufacturing through industrial policy, a modern form of central planning. Even if these programs create a few more factory jobs, they do so at a high cost, higher prices, distorted markets, and reduced competitiveness. State governments cut sweetheart deals with favored companies that promise jobs, but often ignore the market signals that determine whether those jobs are sustainable, long-lasting. When the numbers don't add up, taxpayers are left footing the bill. Why does all this matter? Well, corporate welfare isn't compassion. It's corruption with good branding. Every dollar government gives to a favored firm is a dollar taken away from a family, a worker, or a small business that earned it, not getting special favors. It shifts the power from markets to politicians, from innovation to influence. When profits depend on political pull instead of productivity, the economy slows, competition fades, and opportunity shrinks. Lesson number 3, the best method to promote thriving economies. What are they? Well, if we want greater prosperity, government must stop trying to manage outcomes and instead create the conditions for growth, low taxes, some money, limited gut spending, and letting markets work. Capitalism remains the greatest economic engine in history because it's rooted in freedom. It allows people to make choices, take risks, and keep the rewards, or bear the losses that follow. When people are free to innovate and compete, economies flourish and poverty falls. Real-world examples of this, well, Gallup finds that 81% of Americans view free enterprise positively, and 95% view small businesses favorably. That's capitalism in action. Families starting businesses, farmers innovating to feed more people, and entrepreneurs creating value through voluntary exchange. When the U.S. deregulated the airlines and telecom industries, competition surged, prices dropped, and innovation soared, making air travel and technology more affordable for everyone and more accessible. That's what happens when government steps back and lets market work. Why does all this matter? Well, when government focuses on creating the right environment with stable money, restrained spending, and low taxes, families, workers, and entrepreneurs do the rest. That's how prosperity happens, from the bottom up, not the top down. Every time government interferes with the market, it limits freedom and dulls innovation. But when it steps back, people step forward. Communities thrive, businesses grow, and the American dream remains within reach for everyone willing to work for it. Number 4, applying these principles today. Some federal examples first. Across the political spectrum, we've drifted toward policies that favor corporate welfare. National conservatism now embraces tariffs, subsidies, and industrial policies, picking winners and losers instead of trusting people and markets. Progressivism expands government through endless programs in the name of equity, pushing state power far beyond its proper role. Populism has fueled calls for protectionism, bailouts, and free money, undermining the discipline of profits and losses. Socialism has crept into the mainstream, with 2/3 of Democrats now saying they prefer it to capitalism. Modern industrial policy, from the CHIPS Act to the Inflation Reduction Act to bipartisan trade protectionism and much more, redirects capital based on political incentives, not economic ones. These programs prop up politically favored firms and industries at the expense of more dynamic competitors that lack lobbyists in Washington. Some state examples on this is in Kansas, policymakers promised Panasonic $829 million in taxpayer incentives to build a battery plant in DeSoto. In exchange, the company pledged thousands of jobs. But with EV demand slipping and production delayed, taxpayers are left holding the bag, like usual. Likewise, programs like the Texas Enterprise Fund and local property tax abatements in Texas transfer taxpayer money to politically connected corporations under the banner of economic development. In practice, they distort competition and punish smaller, homegrown businesses that play by the rules. Some local examples, well, in most U.S. municipalities, only a single cable or utility company is allowed to operate in the area. There is no technological reason more cannot compete except for government barriers to competition. Local governments across the country regularly subsidize professional sports stadiums, promising new jobs in tourism. That's currently happening in Kansas and Missouri for the Kansas City Chiefs, possibly moving from Kansas City, Missouri, maybe over to Kansas City, Kansas, and even the Royals looking at doing the same thing. In reality, most studies show little to no economic benefit. Taxpayers foot the bill, while team owners and developers reap the rewards. So final thoughts on this: no matter what you call it, cronyism, favoritism, or so-called economic development, the results of corporate welfare is always the same: fewer choices, higher costs, and slower growth. When government starts picking winners and losers, the economy becomes less about innovation and more about influence. The best path to prosperity isn't through more programs or political promises, it's through freedom. Opportunity expands when we trust markets, limit government to its proper role, and let people keep more of what they earn. At the national, state, and local levels, real economic growth comes from families, workers, and entrepreneurs making decisions that create value. We must reject the false promise of corporate welfare and return to the principles that have lifted more people out of poverty and extreme poverty than any system in history: free enterprise and limited government through free market capitalism. That's how we let people prosper. I also have provided some other recommended resources to dive deeper into studying this topic that you'll find in the show notes page as well. I really appreciate you joining me today. Please go hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe wherever you're getting this and share it with your friends and families. I'd really like to continue to keep growing this message as I build into the 2026 year. We're getting close to the end of 2025. We've got a lot more to do. I hope you'll continue to join me. Reach out anytime as well. And so until next time, God bless you. Find more information at vanceginn.com, vanceginn.substack.com. And until next time, let people prosper.